So let's start this gardening week off on a high note. I am very pleased with these tomatoes. The outdoor tomatoes are starting to come to the end now. And you know, we've still got maybe 25% of them to harvest or something like that. But now we're in mainstream production in the polytunnel. It's a bit kind of inverted. You normally expect the polytunnel ones to be before the outdoor ones, but anyway, this is the way it is. And we have got a gorgeous harvest on here now. And I picked these, I don't know, maybe 4 or 5 days ago. And these have all ripened since. So yeah, as I said, full production. It's a really nice situation to be in. Although Debbie is slightly overwhelmed with the number of tomatoes that she's got to process right now. At this point, it's worth pointing out that I do have a database of all of the recipes for all of the preserves that we make. So not all of the meals, so that's too much work at the moment, but all of the sauces, pickles, ketchups, all the things we freeze, all the jams, and drinks and all of that sort of thing. So quite a lovely selection really of different recipes. And what you'll find is that there's like a summary of the recipes and the ingredients, and then if you tap on that, then you'll find photographs of the book covers that we took the recipe from, and details of the book, and also a photograph of the page of the recipe from the book. And obviously we highly encourage you to buy those books rather than just use those recipes, but anyway, if you can't afford to do that, then the recipes are there. So yeah, really happy with this, and let's go on with a bit of gardening. So regular viewers might remember that when it comes to things like radishes and turnips, although I sow a lot of them, I never plan where I'm going to put them. And I always just kind of walk around and look for little gaps and just kind of squeeze them in. And so I've got a nice little crop of radishes growing at the edge of this pepper bed. And just down there, I've got a nice little batch of turnips growing in that one. They will benefit a little bit from this protection as well from these two low tunnels, because it's obviously very close to September now. Light levels are starting to reduce and heat levels are starting to reduce, and as a result, any bit of help that you can give root veggies in particular really pays off in terms of speeding up the growth rate. And I've got another batch as well, which are a week or so away from being ready to plant, and they will benefit from a bit of cover even more. Although if you've got a really sunny spot, it is still possible to get them outside. So I thought we'd take a quick look at progress with the seedlings, and we'll just focus in on the ones that I sowed last week, actually for the last gardening week episode. So that included these cherry bells and the turnips that you've just seen, and these little winter miner's lettuce. And I've got another batch of winter miner's lettuce that I did a couple of weeks earlier, and they're obviously growing on quite nicely. It included these spinach, which is good because the spinach that I did early, I think it was maybe the beginning of August or the end of July, that has started to go to seed. So I need this batch to take the place of those, and I need to get another batch of spinach sown pretty much straight away. And yeah, so I've got some nice little onions starting to come up here. So these are guardsmen. These onions haven't germinated yet, nor has the corn salad, but I've obviously got that nice corn salad down there that has germinated, and this is from the same seed packet, so hopefully that'll come up okay. And I really got to get those planted out, so I'll do that in a minute. So it's always a bit disappointing when early spinach goes to seed, and it doesn't always happen, but there's always a risk, you know, and so you just take your chance and sow extra just in case. So in my case, I'll be replacing this Rubino with that batch that you've just seen of Responder, and I'll just get another batch of Responder sown. It won't really affect me very much, in fact probably not at all. But yeah, they're still looking nice, but as you can see, they're just starting to go to seed. So yeah, maybe only one pick of these before I have to take them out again. But the turnips are doing nicely at the end there. And there's more turnips in there, and they are just, if we can get in there with the camera, not very easily. Let me just starting to root up there, and those lettuces are looking absolutely great. So this is the bed where I'm going to put those salad onions. I went through lots of different options as to what to put in this bed. I was originally going to put brassicas, and then I changed my mind. I thought I'd put lettuces and Asian greens. In the end, I've settled on onions because there's a lot of slugs and snail issues in this bed. It's all a bit overgrown, and that always means there's slugs and snails around, and actually, you know, you can see the slugs for yourself. There's not much in this bed other than beans that I'm hoping have kind of matured enough to the point where I can take these and dry them off for next year. And obviously I've got my squash growing up at the back there, which I'm going to leave, and I've got just a couple of celery plants here which I'm probably going to just transplant because I don't need those until next week. So need to get this bed cleared. That'd be nice because I hate a messy bed like this, and it'd be nice to get it all replanted with salad onions. And I'm also quite excited to show you this bed. So this is my autumn salad onion bed. I have never in my whole sort of 7 years of gardening managed to have an abundance of salad onions in autumn. And I've got it for the first time. Summer Island at this end and Guardsman at this end. Guardsman's my favourite, but Summer Island's pretty good for an early crop. And yeah, they're almost ready. So that probably first week in September, or end of first week in September, I'll probably have a few of those. But there's no rush because we've got a few other salad onions kicking around that have survived over summer. They do need all the outer skins taken off, so you can just eat the core, but the core is super sweet. So although it's a bit of a fuss, it's yeah, the taste is kind of unparalleled of that sweet core. Anyway, while I've got this cover up, I'll get this weeded, and then we'll get on with the next batch. So that's pretty good progress. I just need to go around now, take all the lower leaves off these squash, just so there's not too much of a problem with them getting in the way. This bed will eventually be covered with a cold frame top, and I'll probably take one from down there where I'm taking out a bed and planting trees. But I don't need that to do that until I take those peppers out. So I'll leave this until October, so obviously the onions will be fine until October, in fact way beyond October, without any sort of protection. So in fact they benefit from that. I think onions don't do very well when you give them too much heat early on, but if you want to be eating them through winter, sometimes it's useful to give them a bit of protection later on in sort of October, November sort of time. So I'm going to take out all the slugs that I can see in this bed and caterpillars and things like that. Although slugs don't generally bother onions, this bed will probably get replanted in either February or December, depending on how things go with the onion harvest. And obviously, you know, if I can try and reduce the number of slugs in the bed by then, that would be useful. So yeah, get on with that. So for onions, I like to just give them a bit of bloodfish and bone and just working that in, and then I'll level this off and just tamp it down. So I do my onions 6 by 6, and so that's 36, and I do them in a 40 cell tray, so I generally have a few left over. I just kind of squeeze those in if there's any left. Yeah, they seem to do quite happily at that density. As I've been doing this, I've been looking out for slugs. There are so many slugs. So yeah, It's quite depressing really, but it does vindicate my decision to not plant leafy greens in this bed. So these salad onions have done so well in this weather, probably too well in fact, so I'll have to be eating quite a lot of them because they're a bit big probably to get through winter. So this first batch that I'm doing is Lilia. It's a lovely purple variety. Germination on this was really good. And then the next batch is North Holland Blood Red. Now I've never done North Holland Blood Red through winter before. As I said, I don't think these will probably get to winter anyway, but or maybe not through winter. We'll probably still be eating them in certainly late autumn, early winter. I'm really happy with that. I did miscount a little bit. Should have paid more attention when I'm making videos, but so I had to put some little ones in at the back there. And I'm going to turn my attention to this. So all of my runners are rooted now. So I'm going to get those moved out of the way somewhere because I'm just tripping over them all the time, and get a bit of wood chip down over this soil where I've made a mess. And there's that little path all wood chipped. It's my intention actually to raise the whole of my plot up to the level of the top of the first raised beds, and then I'm going to put damp proof course over the wood here and then build everything else on top of damp proof course. I'm not ever going to replace these bottom raised bed pieces with new wood. I'm just going to wood chip the whole thing. So last week I put this mesh down over these little lettuces, and yeah, I think they're all lettuces. That is kind of my modus operandi from now on, is always to put mesh over, keep the slugs and snails out once the bed's kind of cleared, and also keep those dastardly bugs out because we've had so many losses from caterpillars, but also cutworms. So I'm just hoping that I haven't got anything in the bed, but yeah, covers. And I've done that in this bed here as well with all the Asian greens in it, and as you can see it's absolutely completely free of flea beetle and slug and snail damage. So I'm harvesting the last of my watermelons because this tendril is now all dried out, and it wasn't last week, so it was worth leaving it for an extra week and get this cleared and replanted. So I've got a nice little selection of lettuces and Asian greens there. I'm just going to see if I can figure out a nice little planting scheme for them. So these are flashy butter oak. I love these. I love the colouring on the leaves. So pretty. So I'm fairly happy with these. All these sowings at the moment, they're all relatively short-lived. So we won't actually start harvesting them probably until the middle of September. And we'll probably finish harvesting them towards the end of October and get this bed replanted with something like spinach for spring. Because we just won't need this amount of salad in addition to the stuff in the polytunnel, and the stuff in the polytunnel does so much better than the stuff in these outdoor beds. So that's generally our approach. Lots of successions. Earlier in the week when I was looking at this bed of purple sprouting broccoli, I noticed that this plant here had a really bad case of cabbage aphid, pretty much unrecoverable. And so I always plant a few spares if I've got them. And so I've got 2 spares in this bed. One's here and one is there. So I'm going to choose the healthiest looking of those 2 and transplant it back into that spot there now. So there we go. It's in there. It's going to be quite happy, I think. I wouldn't really recommend generally replanting at this time of year. Generally wait until sort of late in September. We have got 3 days of rain coming though, so it should be fine, and should get nicely established over those few days. So yeah, spares, can't beat them. So I'm not doing a full harvest this week because we're away this weekend with some of the kids down south, but I did just pick these few bits and pieces. We're going to take these with us. So we've got a watermelon, 2 little cantaloupes which are ready. The smell on these is incredible. They are so sort of sweet. A little beetroot, some carrots and a parsnip and a little squash. So that's the harvest for this week. So I hope you like this quick video. My name's Steve. This is the Seaside Kitchen Garden and Allotment channel, and I'll see you soon.